Everybody, this is Timothy Gaines. This is my paper inquiry project on organizational effectiveness. I wanted to do this project as I've had many positions that the organization just was not, in my eyes, effective, and I just wanted to see how the one could become effective. So let's dive in. First, my objectives will be to define organizational effectiveness. I will provide some historical theories on organizational effectiveness from a couple of the quote-unquote fathers of OE. Different approaches to measuring organizational effectiveness. That is my thesis for my paper. How would an organization go about evaluating organizational effectiveness? I will show you my development tools, 1 and 2. I will reflect on this project, and my last slide will be references. What is organizational effectiveness? It is, in general terms, meeting organizational objectives and expectations in the near future, adapting and developing in the immediate future, and surviving into the distant future. Basically, surviving the now into the future. Daft states that organizational effectiveness is the degree of which an organization realizes its goals. In business, organizational effectiveness will generally be expressed in terms of how well it nets profitability. Profitability compares to its target profitability. So basically comparing it to each other. And just like several different theories, this can mean several different things for different kinds of organizations, such as nonprofit and for-profit organizations. So one of the fathers, like Professor Winston was talking about in one of the lectures, is that Frederick Taylor was one of the fathers of organizational effectiveness. He determined that effectiveness is determined by factors such as production maximization, cost minimization, and technology experience. Another one of the organizational effectiveness fathers, per se, is Elton Mayo. Effectiveness is a function of productivity and employee satisfaction. To me, that just is common sense. Happy employees are productive. This slide basically shows from Daft that the different approaches to measuring organizational effectiveness. There is the goal approach. Effectiveness is the ability to excel at one or more output goals. There's also internal process approach. The effectiveness is the ability to excel at internal efficiency, coordination, motivation, and employee satisfaction. resource-based approach. Effectiveness is the ability to acquire limited and valued resources from the environment. And then the strategic approach I apologize. Measures effectiveness by focusing on the satisfaction of key stakeholders, those who are critical to the organization's ability to survive and thrive. The picture on the right-hand side was taken from DAFT, and it just shows the concepts of each of these approaches. And I thought it demonstrated in one picture just the different ways to go about it. The way that I would go about an organization, determining how an organization would be deemed effective or not, is the goal approach. I would start and look to achieve high performance and sustained results. Leaders or decision makers must determine and refine key processes and execute them with daily discipline. So basically, the processes of which are the most effective, you need to do those daily to be effective. These goals, the goals to consider of measuring are operational goals and not mission goals, because they tend to be abstract and difficult to measure. So one of the downfalls about some of these approaches is the theory that it's hard to measure some of the visions and the missions of organizations. That's why I like the goal approach. You can measure the profitability, the market share, the growth, the sales growth, the profits, the client base, all the growth you can actually measure. The social responsibility, the product quality, all these things are measurable, and it just is one of the easier ways to determine effectiveness. One of my OD consultant tools is process mapping. The image on the right is in lean terms, swim lanes, but basically it's process mapping. It's very straightforward. This is a tool for documenting every process, decision, and doer of the process. This is related to standardized work, and the process should be standardized. When looking to make improvements, and the process map can be a good starting point to identify some of the issues and the breakdowns. This also gives people an idea of every step of the way, what needs to be done, and what decisions need to be made. Each of these steps, you can kind of see some of the different shapes in the illustration, and each step or each shape means something different. So it's a visual map, and like they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. My tool number 2 is just like everything else, surveys, assessments, and feedback. I mean, this creates that open systems concept where knowing what your employees, clients, and community think about working in or working with the organization is something that is unmatched. It allows your leaders and your decision makers to respond quickly and more focused, to retain key people and boost productivity, or even stop the process and change it. It just provides that continual learning. It's a never-ending process, and that's why I like this illustration. The continuous feedback portion of this connects the process, and it makes it start over. Some of the benefits of organizational effectiveness is all these things that you see here. It improves focus on the goals and improves teamwork, could increase profits and competitiveness, customer satisfaction, increase customer retention. All these things are benefits of determining whether or not the organization is effective or not. My reflection on this project and my paper in general is that learning some of the best practices for the organization and for the industry that they're in. As right now, I'm in kind of the medical industry. I've been in the financial industry. I've been in the nonprofit industry. All of them have best practices, and knowing what those are and understanding the processes are things that help determine, can help you determine whether an organization is effective or not. Treating your current weaknesses as a roadmap for future changes is a great way to increase effectiveness. And like I said, feedback is always something that is going to help if you allow it to. If you take that feedback and you look for it and you understand the feedback, you can use that to your benefit as an organization, as a person, in a relationship, or in anything. Feedback is a positive thing if you allow it to be. These are some of the references I used in these project and on my paper. This is the first time that I've done something like this, so hopefully it worked out. I am a little under the weather after traveling, but I hope it worked, and I appreciate some feedback. Thank you.